Hello, everyone. Hi, this is Lokesh Baba from Soul Freedom Show and Radical Purpose Coaching back again. And we have a very special guest today, Deanna Divine. Hi, Deanna. How are you doing?
All right. Thank you for having me.
All right, great. So, Deanna is a galactic shaman. She's a quantum educator, light language activator, and the author of an amazing book she just came out with. It's called Mastering Quantum Creation. And she's also a teacher. I'm also a student of hers. And yeah, welcome again, Deanna. And I'll let you introduce yourself as well.
Yeah, thank you for having me so much. I've been in this on this journey for over 25 years, so it's really exciting for me to see how everyone is stepping up. And I have also a podcast, so I love sharing all the knowledge I have over the course of many years and activating others and having them tap into their multidimensional potential. So having me on your show is so exciting. We can go into all kinds of rabbit holes.
Yeah, sounds great. Yeah, let's start with light language. How did your journey start, and like when was it like one aha moment you had where you're like, I'm going to be doing this stuff, or was it like a slow process for you?
Yeah, my journey took me to many, many places and many explorations. I think light language, or what I also call source language, it was just evolution of my journey. And I've had experiences, especially in plant medicine ceremonies, where some sounds would, just want to come out, but I didn't quite understand. And then actually, after I was done with plant medicine journeys, and ayahuasca medicine was actually saying, it's time to go galactic and don't come back. I didn't quite understand what that means. So it was, I took time to integrate. And for a year, I was just exploring different things. I never really thought of myself as a musician or sound healer. I did work a lot with energy. I was already a Reiki master and kind of energy worker. And I worked a little bit with kundalini energy. And then I had an experience. We were hiking in the mountains. And then my friend actually, she is a crystal healer. She was like, well, Deanna, you got to sing. Let's just sit on these rocks. This is a gorgeous place. It's called Garnet Hills in Adirondack, upstate New York. And I said, well, I'm not a healer or a singer. No, I'm a healer, but I'm not a singer. And my throat actually is, you know, was pretty still closed. I wasn't trusting my voice. And so I had a little bit of resistance, but I surrendered and we sat on these rocks. And it was really interesting. I, started making some small sounds. And then this, in my mind's eye, this energy, it looked like this golden sacred geometry, started talking to me and saying, well, I think it's your time to let us in, let us in. And then these incredible tones came out. It was almost like I was a third person observing the experience itself. My husband, who was kind of further down, um, he said his knees buckled. It was just such incredible tones. They were echoing through the valley, and everyone, including myself, were getting activated. When I opened my eyes, I couldn't believe it. I asked my friend, I was like, wow, what was this? And and that's how my journey started. I tried to get back into that state when I can produce that sound again, and I started exploring. And it was yeah, it took years to really get comfortable and trusting it and having faith and not thinking this is outside of myself, and integrate with it, become one with it. And that's what I'm doing now for others like yourself, trusting your channel, knowing that we are these beautiful, beautiful divine instruments. And then the process, I became a sound healer. Now I work with different sound instruments. Now I'm much more attuned to the frequency and to the sound. And if you asked me back then, I would be like, wow, like I didn't expect that to happen for me. But I think we are in this perpetual evolution of self, right? We just have so many gifts and we just don't know we have them. And then, yeah, sometimes experiences happen and then we just have to follow them and follow our passion. So this became my passion. I've been so passionate about helping others to really explore their true connection to the soul. And I believe through frequency, through channeling frequency like this, we're really able to speak and express ourselves and sing in a way that our soul, it's a soul's language. A frequency language is beyond limitation of languages. I know 4 languages, but nothing can do what I'm able to do with light language. And so it's really beautiful quantum multidimensional language, and many of us know it. It's just we re-remembering what it is. It's not something you learn. You just have to open your field to re-remember that you have it.
Okay, yeah. Here's a funny question for you. What is the difference between gibberish and light language?
Ah, great question. So when it's gibberish, there's no, it's just silly sounds, right? But there's no like energy behind it. So we can just be silly and make silly sounds just for the hell of it. With light language, it's expression of the source. So there's a lot of energy that comes with it. There's usually intention, right? We open in a channel and people can feel the energy. So it's usually activated, even if it's a conversation, it's activating down to cellular memory, down to DNA, because our DNA stores a lot of these light codes. And so it starts activating these parts of us. So everyone, it's a frequency language. So how do you know if it's working or not? If you feel the energy, then it's working. If it's just some silly sounds and you don't feel anything, that's just gibberish. But I have to say, a lot of it has to do with being a kid. Like we were kids and just making sounds. I feel like babies are speaking light language of sorts. It's just we don't understand because babies till the age of 7 are still very connected, as you know, to the source. It's just when they develop prefrontal cortex at the age of 7, a lot of that, initial um, initial capability to connect to the
Yeah,
energies shut down.
yeah,
So I
I
think dropping back to being a kid in this really is what makes it
yeah,
more fun. Because then we allow ourselves to play again. We allow ourselves to be innocent. And I believe light language are the pure vowels. Like it's the basic
yeah,
vowels without all the languages are manipulated. Even English. English is a that language. A lot of the things that we say today, subtle programming, like we say goodbye or weekend, we're constantly kind of basically saying we're going to
negative.
die.
Yeah, it's a negative,
Yeah.
negative connotations to a lot of the words. And the funny thing is that most people don't even know. So we just habitually, not even habitually, it's just a brainwashing. Well, going back to light language is, do you think like there's like you said it comes from the source, but then there's different people have different versions of light language. So how would you know the difference? Another funny question: How would you know a difference between a fake light language, activator versus a real one? Because I could just make up mumbo jumbo and call it light language. So how would you know?
So first of all, light language has been existed on Earth since the beginning of Earth. So if you actually look it up on Google, the official term for it is glossolalia. And what is glossolalia? It's the phenomenon of basically spirit speaking. Through history, um, the church obviously didn't want us to have the gift and the power of direct connection. So anyone who would express light language, they called it speaking tongues, as in these tongues outside of you. So it's like some entities or devil is taking over and the person is possessed and they speak in tongues. So there's always this demonic type of negative connotation around being able to express yourself. The only sector of Christianity that has accepted it, Pensacolan monks in Pensacolan church. But even with them, even though they were open to it, they always needed someone else to be a translator. So someone is channeling and someone else is translating. But the problem with that is anytime someone is translating a multidimensional language that is very pure in some ways through the channel. Someone else is distorting it through their lens. So this translation can never be accurate. More so, I would say, because it's multidimensional nature, you can't really translate word for word. It's not like, we translate in, I don't know, Hindu to English or Russian to English word for word. One word can mean many, many things, and it changes all the times. It's a frequency language. So we can get a picture or interpretation of what we're saying, or some people have visuals, some people see colors, there's different sensations people experience. Sometimes it's emotional, tears. Again, we activate in the field. Sometimes it's cold, sometimes it's hot, but trying to, again, limit it into a box of this is exactly what that is doing disservice to it, because we can maybe get like a sense of it, like I said. And again, it's through the mind of the person who's receiving it as well. And each one will receive it very differently. And the visions they'll have and the experiences they'll have will be very
Yeah.
different.
Yeah,
With
it
that
sounds
said,
like sounds like similar to the musical instruments, like for example, guitar and piano. So they have their own frequency and sounds, and then they also have different versions of, like, there's electric guitar, classic. So there's different versions. So it sounds like that light language is the frequency of a particular chord that kind of activates similar to musical instruments.
correct, it's the harmonic, right? You and I talked about it's
Yeah.
the kind of like just like the tuning fork and the solfeggio, like they're think of light language like tuning forks, right? If they tune in with a specific frequency, with a specific sound, the instrument of the person and the energy field, and as well as it penetrates down through the tissue into cellular memory, into the DNA, and so it starts activating from within. It's really incredible what you can do with it. And like I said, I started my journey as Reiki master, right? And then it evolved into more mastery of energy. But when sound opened up, that was a whole gamut, because now I run these kundalini activation classes, and sometimes I can stand on one side of the room and just channel codes or whatever, is meant for the group at the moment, and I can see the person on the other side moving and reacting to it. So the amount of energy we can move with light language, source language is incredible. Like, yes, you can still do it with the hands and moving energy the way you do, but if light language and moving hands is actually part of it. We constantly writing also language in the field. So there's the sound itself, but it's actually body is moving with it. It kind of amplifies. So as I move my hands, I'm amplifying the language as well. So it's a whole body experience. The person who's channeling the language is having, and how they're able to manipulate and work with the energy. So there's different types of languages. There's written as well, but the one I'm just talking about is more kinesthetic and more verbal, right? But everything create, including music, is light language. Really,
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
so many types and variation of the expression of the soul, right? So any artist is really channeling light language if you think about it, because it's just different forms of it and how it comes through. So back to your question, because I want to answer that question of how do you know who's fake, who's not fake? It goes back to that initial answer I had for you. It's through resonance. If
yeah,
you are feeling it and you're feeling the tingles, and or you're feeling the hot and heat, or you're having colors, or there's something that's shifting within you, or there's some sort of familiarity with it, or your soul is like, yeah, this feels like a balm for my frequency, then you know this person is true. There's so many channelers out there. I've been kind of in this world for the last 10 years or so, but I've heard so many channelers, and there are those who don't resonate with me. I'll be honest. Sometimes I just, for whatever reason, I don't even focus on whether it's right or not. It's just their frequency is not aligned with my frequency. And we also have to understand the state of consciousness of the person who's a channeler. That matters too. How pure is their channel? um, are they operating from love, or are they operating from a low vibrational state? Because even though they bring in through this um, this information, it might be distorted, right? It might be
Yeah.
distorted through their channel. So it's like any other channeling you have ever heard, like, famous ones like Bashar or others. They also have to tune their body, and sometimes they like wiggle their body and their frequency to get into the channel. And they work really hard to be as pure as they can as a channeler. And when it's a little off, even in English, you can hear it. You can hear when their Amka is not always in the best state,
Yeah.
and when the information that's coming in is a little bit skewed, I would say. Similar to here, you might not logically with your mind able to translate, but your body is the best signal
Yeah. It's like
that is
listening to
aligning.
yeah, it's like when we're listening to a song, we may not know the lyrics of the song, but we can feel the song. Uh,
Correct. Same. And some songs work, and some songs like pop culture right now, I don't want to listen to. They just don't
yeah, yeah.
resonate. They just
Yeah, it's more, and also it's something to do with emotions as well, because all music is doing is like evoking the right side of the brain, right, which is not the logical side, and which is what the light language, I believe, is also doing, because we cannot be like we were talking earlier about it, like we can't be thinking too much about whether this is the right thing, whatever the codes are downloading or activating, is it the right thing or am I doing the right thing? If we get into that, then that's the left brain, which is opposite of the intuitive part of the brain, which is what we use for music, right? So it's kind of sounds like light language is very close to a music composition or musical
I
creation.
think any type of creation, this goes to like my book, Mastering Quantum Creation. Anytime we create, and we are creative beings, let's just start with that. We are quantum beings, meaning we are here as beautiful soul beings having physical experience, but our soul carries a lot of information that has been collected over different incarnations and on Earth and off Earth, right? So we are software, and this software is massive software, right? And there's a little piece of the software that comes into this physical body, into this hardware, and having this experience, as a human. But this human is also connected to the greater software, and that software had experiences in different star systems, it known different languages, different sounds. And as I was telling you earlier, before our podcast, we are really transmediums in some ways. We are a symphony of a lot of these frequencies, and our DNA as a human is combination of over 25 different star seeds. So when they created human, and I'm talking about, if you go into ancient history of Anunnaki and all of that, we were compilation of a lot of the codes from the galaxy. So if we tune our instrument and we become this, hollow bone of all of it is already within our DNA. And
Yeah.
it's not just the brain, it's also our mitochondria. Mitochondria is that organelle in
Yeah.
of cells, and it's a very multidimensional organelle. I write about it in my book as well. Many people who, sluggish and have chronic diseases and things like that, their mitochondria is just not working as well. But actually, light language and quantum technology is helping them to strengthen their mitochondria, their power cells. Mitochondria, if you remember your biology, is what gives energy, ATP production, to the rest of the human body. If your mitochondria is dysfunctional, there's not enough energy production, your whole system is going to be lagging. Your organs don't have enough energy. And so the way I usually describe it, right? So we come into these hardwares, but this hardware runs with many programs, right? These different scripts, your ancestral programs, your parents' programs, all these programs that are not yours necessarily. And then as you become an adult, you're conditioned by the society, you're conditioned by the planet, you're conditioned by astrology, by the planets, you're conditioned by so many things. So all these programs are defining who we are. But if you strip it away, if you start, it's all these tabs, right? All these tabs on the computer and the browser that are open. And I have a chapter called the game of consciousness, right? It's like a game, like a dashboard, and we choose these different experiences. Like, okay, I'm going to come into this body, into this family, and this is what I want to experience. But that comes with limitations, right? And I have all these tabs that are open. So it's our role to close tabs and our role to also connect this greater aspect of ourselves, right? As we close in tabs, as we release in these outdated programs, these limitations, these blocks of energy in that field, more energy, more kundalini, shakti, our primordial life force, is started running through our system, through our toroidal field. And the more that runs, the more it starts opening also these gifts that we already have, which is sound, which is expression. You know, as they say in the Bible, the world was created with sound. God created the world with one word, right? So it's like abracadabra, right? When we say certain things, we create them, we manifest them into reality. It starts as energy, but eventually it manifests itself as a form. It gets structure and it comes here. So when I say quantum beings, you know, now finally quantum is becoming a big word in where the scientifical and esoteric communities are coming together, starting to find the same language to explain what is really happening for us. But what I mean by that is that there is a quantum field of information beyond the spectrum of the eyes because we can only see so much, right? It's the field of information, like your beautiful background, right? It's like this beautiful landscape of everything and nothing, right? And if this, as we tap into that field of information, everything is available for us. So, because we are that information, we are quantum, we are light, we are sound. So, if we merge with it and we become one with it, then we can bring all the sounds of creation. There's no stopping what we can bring through this vehicle because
Yeah.
we come from that. So, really, the key of channeling, whatever you channel, whether in English or light language, is to become one with the quantum field, and then you become the expression of it. And my book is called Awaken the Phoenix Within, Manifest Your Reality, and Reclaim Your Cosmic Power. That's a subtitle. And that's what we're doing. We're reclaiming, we're burning through like a phoenix these negative beliefs, and then we start manifesting our reality by reclaiming our cosmic power, by re-remembering who we really are, which is sound, which is light, which is creation itself.
Yeah, yeah. Thanks for that beautiful description about the background of where it comes from. And so, talking about the quantum beings and the galactic beings, sorry, not quantum beings, but galactic beings, because there's, there are different people channeling, like, for example, Bashar's channeling the Issa Sanis, different people.
Tanya.
Yeah, and then also in the light language, some people say we are doing the Atlantis energy, Illyrian, Sirius, and so I mean, most of us we know that there's different races out there, right? Like, and there's we can connect with different races. So I have two questions. One is, who do you personally like connect with the most, and then the second is like, how would we know, like, if somebody is getting some downloads, like, is there like a way to know what kind of a frequency is getting downloaded, or does it even matter at that point?
Yeah, great questions. So for me, when my journey started, I'm a Lyran. So like when you think of the movie Avatar, it's these beings are kind of like a mix of a cat, feline. In Avatar, they were shown as blue.
Yeah.
That's more vegans. So there were two kind of races in the Lyra system. Lyra was the first system where the humanoid experience started in this galaxy. But we really, in my book, and I write about it, we actually Andromedan. We came from Andromeda Galaxy. And so it's like a long journey of the soul. But Lyra is the first system within Milky Way where the co-creator beings started creating avatars or these humanoid. And so just like in the movie Star Wars, when we talk about Empire and Jedi and all of that, a lot of it is actually pulled from the galactic history, right? It is pulled from the different wars, the galactic wars that are started. So just like we have in the Star Wars Empire, Lyran system actually was under attack by these Draco beings, and it started this whole migration through the galaxy to different systems. But many actually Pleiadians, the ancestors are Lyran, Syrian as well. So they migrated all through the cosmos. So when you ask about the different languages, many of us actually on the star kind of seed level, we, when we open up, our first language is usually the language from the star system that we came from. And I'm not talking about earthly languages because some of us, for instance, lived in the time of Jesus Christ, let's say. So some of us might remember Aramaic or some other, or Sumerian, some other ancient earthly languages. I'm talking about like the galactic languages before Earth, right? So there are certain
Like
frequencies.
Anuhazi, is that
Ah,
I've heard that Anuhazi from Egypt is one of them. Right?
Anuhazi, yeah. Some might claim and say Anuhazi is the original language. Again, we don't fully know. There's different languages. I just know that all the languages available. So when I started, my first two languages were Lyran and Draco. Again, because I write in my book my story, but I'm a Lyran royalty, and I actually was married into the Draco alliance. So it makes sense. It's like on Earth, even though I was born in Russia and I speak Russian, I also learned English. So my first two languages were kind of English and Russian. Then I moved to Israel and then I started speaking Hebrew because I learned that language. And then, started studying, I know, Spanish in college. So, you kind of, your soul evolves and learns different languages as well. So it's something that, again, we're remembering, right? But each language, just like on Earth, has different dialects. It has different combinations. So there are different people that might be speaking or channeling Lyran in certain ways, but there are kind of like fundamental vowels that are very similar. So, for instance, in Lyran, there is like we say a lot of sh and a lot of r, and then the r is more like rolling R. And it's so interesting because I can roll R's because in Russian there's a lot of R's that we use in our language. So, and so, but I've been observing like the specific vowels that each civilization has that is, you know, more pronounced, I would say, than many in others. But again, even though your soul just started with those languages and knows it the best because that's where you maybe originate from or you live the most on, some, souls traveled around the galaxy and experienced different languages. And even if you haven't traveled, you can still tap into those languages. When you start opening your channel, again, because we are 25 codes from all around the galaxy and more, we really can tap into any language. So everything is
What do you
available
mean
for us.
by 20? What are those? What do you mean by 25 codes?
Meaning at least 25 different races
Uh,
have contributed to our DNA. So
based
therefore,
on
at
what?
least
Where is this? What is the source of this information?
I think a lot of us kind of I've heard it from different people. I also kind of like when I tap into like how many combinations of different star seed um, combinations we have within our DNA. At least no one fully knows. There's
Yeah, at
no yet.
least because I've heard the other people talk about 50,
Probably more than
60,
that.
70.
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's probably more. I said definitely at least and plus it's
yeah.
25 plus. We know the main races, like we know the main races, right? And the main races, of course, Arcturians, Lyrans, Syrians, Pleiadians, Orions, even Draco. Everyone contributed here to be part of this, like, Alpha Centaurians, but there's many, many more. And so this has been interesting garden of these different codes that we bring in. So to your question, it could be galactic codes, galactic languages. They vary about bringing information. It's like any language, they for activation, but there's also angelic. So you and I did some singing, so we can bring in angelic frequencies. I often see them coming in angelic as a song or a tone, like toning. frequencies because it doesn't necessarily have language. Even languages like Antarian, Mantis beings, there a lot of them are clicks. They're not
Yeah.
necessarily. You also have to understand Andromedans as well and Arcturians. We have language. It's very quick, but sometimes most of conversations are actually telepathic. If meditations, you go to like Andromedan ship, there's not much conversation verbally. It's actually mostly telepathic. But their language is the higher the dimensionality and the frequency within the race, the faster the language is. That's my observation because as I can channel Andromeda and I can channel Arcturian, and it's very fast usually. It's very activating. It's penetrates fast. It's brain circuitry activated as well. And then, so we talked about angelic. There's also deities that we can
Yeah.
channel, avatars. We can connect to Buddha, to Krishna, to Sekhmet, to Kuan Yin, you name it, Mary Magdalene. We can actually channel
Yeah.
any
So,
avatar
yeah,
consciousness.
I mean, yeah, that's true. It's just that one thing that I'm noticing a lot of people these days are talking about is what is called the false light.
Mhm.
Not just the people who are channeling, but normal people who like pray to, any deity or whatever. They might be praying to the false light, people who are in the middle who pretend like they are
Yeah.
the gods, angels, whatever. And now
Yes.
that we have another layer of technology, which is AI, now there's another layer that has come up, which is called mirror AI or mirror consciousness. What it does is it mimics the consciousness. Like if you ask a questions to chat GPT or something like that, it will pretend like it will look like you're talking to an angel, but it's just mimicking it, right? Right. So it's a version of false light in technology. So my question for you probably would be like, first of all, like, what do you think about the false light? Is it true that there's something called false light? And then there's second question would be like, if how would you differentiate, like if not, like maybe you would know because you have the experience, right? Like you must be putting it some filters you have, like like you ask some questions and stuff like that. But if somebody who's starting out, let's say, and they want to make sure they're downloading the right information, right? So what are some of the steps they can take?
Yeah, those are great questions. I think everything is possible, right? We don't fully know what is false, right, truly. But I think it really starts with working on ourselves. So in my book, I talk about these, what I call them quantum levels of consciousness. So as we evolve, we have to discern and we also have to see where are we. It's not necessarily a linear process. I documented it as a linear process because it's hard to speak it in multidimensional ways. But a lot of it has to do is with our own state of consciousness. Meaning, is are we still in the ego? Is the ego dictating our experience, or are we also able to step into self-love, and from self-love, from as we accept in ourselves unconditionally, we step into the next evolution, next level of consciousness where we more in a heart space, not so much in the mind. The ego is not falling away, it just becomes present with us, but it's not controlling our experiences. And then obviously over time we step into mastery and trust of our gifts, but also our field. So we have to stabilize our field and we have to put some programs in that field. So when you ask me, how do I know someone is false light or not? I have programs running through my field that I put in that I kind of like antivirus. So if someone steps into my field and it's not a resonance of I'm goddess, I'm love, I'm sovereign, I'm free, I have specific codes, then I'm going to feel that they're not going to be able to do like what I call energetic handshake. They're not going to meet my resonance field. But it really comes from within. We have to understand we are math. We are
Yeah,
geometry, like at the fundamental core. And
yeah,
it's like, does the math align is or is it distorted? The
Yeah, is it
distortion.
the same like when we meet a person, like a stranger, for example, by intuition, we can know whether that person
Correct.
is telling the truth or just faking it, right?
Right. So we have to discern. We have to develop a discernment muscle, and it's important. And I think your question is really good because a lot of information is out there today. There's a lot of false prophets, so to speak, out there, and they claim many things, and then people get disappointed when they learn that what they said is not true. You know, the guru syndrome, where a lot of people were following the guru, and then we find about sexual abuses. I mean, through the last century or so, we've been seeing a lot of that happen, and I'm
Also,
through history.
people also get compromised because in the beginning they are good, they are from the light, but they get compromised. And then people don't know whether that, like, for example, cloning is a good example, right? Like they talk about a lot of the politicians and people are cloned. Like we won't know the difference, right? Because they're doing it behind the scene. I think it's the similar concept with these angels and stuff. If somebody clones an angel and then, it can get very
There are
complicated.
agendas on all levels, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't. There are agendas. Everyone running agendas, angels included.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, like
So
Jesus Christ. I
I
mean,
covered that in my book. I covered that in my book a little bit as well. It's not the
yeah,
focus, but I think overall, like my whole thing is about each one of us stepping into what I call becoming quantum master creator on earth, meaning being the god and goddess that you are and being the creator, the infinite creator that you are. That includes trusting your gift, trusting your intuition, trusting your power, not giving your power away to some guru and putting someone else on a pedestal, knowing that you have it all. And so as you become confident, as you step into your own self expression, self-love, the power and the trust of your gifts, that will be easier. Then the discernment is pretty fast. Like you just know this just does not align energetically, feels off. You can see through the ego because then
and the
as
patterns too, where we start seeing the patterns as well, right?
a pattern's much easier. You see this person is not coming from the heart and love. The energy is also difficult. So you have to understand this is the world right now. When someone is below the self-love, what do we see? We see war, we see conflict, we see politicians fighting and manipulating. It's about push and pull energy. Is the
Yeah.
3D matrix way where there's finite energy and you can only get it from someone else. So there's
Yeah.
kind of like
But that's also a program. The competition is also a program. I mean, we
pushing and
can,
pull and pushing and pull and me, you, me, you, me, you. The quantum way, the higher dimensional way, the 5D way, the way we're talking about moving towards the next evolution of consciousness for humanity, for Earth, is the quantum way, which means it's energy is infinite. There's no
yeah.
finite
So,
energy. It exists. So with that person, the interaction is not like, what do you do for me? What versus what I'm going to do for you? And you're feeling this pressure and you're feeling this person is constantly playing this tag with you. The interaction is much more in the flow. The interaction is much more in the heart. The interaction is more about unconditional love, about
the
supporting
flow.
each
Yeah.
other, and you feel in that flow, you feel the ease and
Yeah.
grace a lot around the interaction. You feel that you get an elevator with this person. This person is not asking anything of you specifically. It's just
Yeah.
so much easier. So for
Yeah. Yeah. It's
me,
more like natural.
I
Yeah.
can yeah, I can see it very clearly right away through my interaction or the or just like the energy of the
Yeah.
person,
Because our
whether
intuition
it's
keeps
false
getting
light or not.
stronger. Yeah, the more
Yeah.
we trust, I mean, at least that's what I've noticed is the more I trust the intuition. But I mean, the intuition can also be wrong sometimes, but that's fine. That's the way we learn. Like, for example, I do a business deal with somebody, right? Like, or whatever deal. In the beginning, okay, my intuition was telling me, okay, let's do it. This is going good. But later, whatever happened, that doesn't mean my intuition was wrong in the beginning. That just means that there's new things that came up with the in the situation that changed, and I didn't catch up to those new conditions because of which it started going down, right? At least that's how I think of. It's like a video game, right? Like we have to catch it at the right time. But then if it even if we don't catch it, even if we fall down, right? What people call the dark night of the soul, or depression, or whatever, we go through those hard times. But those are also the stepping stones, because that's how we learn. I think what many people do, is like, they think of it as defeat when they go down, instead of thinking it as a stepping stone, and instead of focusing on the lessons that we've learned from that situation, they will say, oh, I did something wrong, or that person did something wrong. And that's where there's this book called A Course in Miracles. I'm sure you've heard about it. So they talk about forgiveness. They say that the answer to everything is forgiveness, because you can keep blaming. You can even blame God, because the ultimate thing is God created everything, right? So if there's suffering in the world, which is what Buddhism, the concept of Buddhism is, like the whole world is suffering. But then who created the suffering? God created everything, right? So then even the demons and all these devils and Satan, all these are created by God. So we can start blaming God, but then what what will be the solution? The solution will be either we can forgive God, or we can forgive ourselves, or we can forgive
But we
others.
are, but we are God ourselves, right? So
Yeah,
if by
exactly.
blaming
Yeah, that's what I was
God,
gonna say.
I mean,
Ultimately,
we are created beings. We have created this reality, so we have to take
yeah,
responsibility
we
for
are
that.
fractals of that
We not, it's
soul.
not outside of ourselves, it is us. Therefore, exactly who are
Yeah,
we blame? I wanted to mention, as you're talking about forgiveness, in the beginning of my journey, when light language opened up, I was like, I had an experience. I was driving, and there was a deer that was, lying on the side of the road, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry." And then I was like, "Oh, how do you say I'm sorry in light language?" And I couldn't say it. And it was such a moment for me. I realized, oh wow, there's no word forgiveness or I'm sorry in light language because it does not exist. It only exists here. We say sorry, but really it's about compassion. We can, compassion is much more neutral state versus being pulled into like
yeah,
the,
because if there's nothing, if yeah, because if there's nothing to fight over, then there's nothing to say sorry for, right? Because
so to your point, like, I do many quantum healing regressions for people and take them through their lives and they see their different versions of themselves where, Earth is a school. We are here to experience reality. Whether it's good or bad, God or this, supercomputer of information where we upload and download information from, this quantum field, right? This quantum AI, it does not care how the experience actually happened because there's always lesson in it. And sometimes our soul chooses to go to the, so to speak, dark side and experience the darkness and
see
then
the
come back to
contrast.
the
Yeah,
light.
yeah.
Our role here is to integrate both experiences. So that's why I call awaken the phoenix within. The phoenix, as you know, is this bird that is I constantly transmuting and coming out stronger, meaning it goes into the fire, it burns through all that stuff and comes out stronger and more powerful. And we are constantly in this, what ancients called resurrection process. We're in the process of resurrecting ourselves,
Or
new versions.
metamorphosis. Yeah, there's another metamorphosis.
Yeah, metamorphosis is different. Metamorphosis means that like you completely transform, but resurrection means like you die,
Reborn.
kind of like Jesus. Yeah, you can physically die or energetically die, and then new version of yourself is resurrected, and then new version is resurrected, new version is
Where
resurrected.
you
So
look at the mirror and you don't even recognize yourself. You're like,
and so
sorry,
look,
who,
so from that point, like you were saying, like, oh, that business decision I made, that experience I
yeah, I
had,
mean, yeah, I've
it
had
was
those
good
moments.
because you had to learn through it. And new version of Lokesh today is much smarter and much more intuitive than that version that
Yeah, yeah. I
just
know,
owns
like
that.
I go through those moments sometimes. I'm sure you also go through, like, I look at my life, like, let's say 5 or 10 years back. I was like, I'm a completely different person. I mean, you can call it metamorphosis or resurrection or whatever, but that's literally some of us are going through, especially I think the internet definitely has a lot to do with it because of the information that we get through the internet is like we didn't have this 20 25 years back, and I feel bad for those people who didn't have the internet.
Internet connects us, but it's also given us a lot of misinformation, and it gives us a
Oh
lot of
yeah, we have to have the filters because the porn, I mean, the porn is a good example. 70% of the traffic on the internet is porn, adult material. So it's like a knife, like we can use it to cut a fruit or to kill somebody. So we have to be more careful. The better the technology, and that's why everybody's afraid of AI now, because they're thinking of the movie Terminator, like they were showing the machines are now trying to kill the human beings. Like human beings created the machines, but now machines have become more intelligent than human beings.
correct. And these movies obviously would pull from the field of information. So those timelines or iRobot bunch, right, that we watched over the years, there's a reason, and this is way before AI actually,
Yeah.
came online. There's a reason because it was already in the field of information, and those timelines are possible because
And
the
also
problem
they
is
might be channeling to some of those movie directors might also be channeling into
they
the
all
future. Yeah.
channeled.
Yeah.
Of course, they all channeled. All the movies are channeled because,
Yeah.
as I said, we are creative beings. Therefore, all that information is available. They all channeling. How would James Cameron create Avatar movies? We're so close to a lot of the things that we've seen because he also
Yeah.
channeled that. His ceremony, his
And a
dream.
lot
Of
of this
course,
information, they even hide it because they work with the government. Like they don't want people to know. I mean, that's the dark side of Hollywood is like
dark side to everything, but at the same time, we see where we are in collective consciousness just even based on the movies. I mean, look at Marvel, right? How many movies out there about multidimensionality, about,
yeah,
Loki, jumping timelines,
telepathy. Like that Lucy was a good example as well. The movie Lucy.
and
Yeah.
then the one that won the Oscar, Everything and Anything All at Once, right? With
Oh yeah, that
so
one.
like
Yeah, and Doctor Strange. Even Doctor Strange is good, right?
Rocket Strange, there's so many, and obviously the collective is ready for this information. Obviously, the collective is now all of a sudden is stepping into
Do you think,
understanding.
before I forget, I want to ask you something because a lot of people are talking about the bifurcation. I think Dolores Cannon was the first person that I know of who started talking about this. But now a lot of
And
people are saying that there's going to be a split. I mean, some people call 3D, 5D. I mean, I don't think of it that way because there's different. That's just a
yeah,
label that we put on. But let's say that let's say 70% of the people, do you think like some of the people will go into a more evolved version of the planet and then some of them will have to recycle because they haven't learned the lessons yet? Or what is your opinion about it?
yeah, I think we're at the train station right now, and I think we haven't that bifurcation, so to speak, hasn't fully occurred. Although it did start during COVID. To be honest,
Yeah, and it looks
there's
like sometimes it's funny that I go out sometimes and I look like, is this is this the same world? Looks like
bifurcation.
some people are living in a different world. Like for example,
There
some
is, yeah,
some people are
yeah.
still wearing masks. There's no COVID, but they're still wearing masks, so they are living in a
Right.
different
So it's
world.
like it's more. It's not as I think what Dolores is trying to say that it's not like a physical or one
Like
Earth versus,
consciousness level,
but
yeah.
it's a consciousness level. It's a frequency level where
Yeah.
certain people will create reality that will be very different than other
And
reality.
also
Like
they will have to recycle because they haven't learned the lessons. They're not, they have to repeat some cycles. But some of us, maybe we're quick learners. I mean, there's no good or bad. There's
I
no,
mean, yeah, I believe is part of it. So you were asking about timelines. So, like in my book, I talk about creation and I talk about this notion. It's from quantum physics called quantum superposition. So quantum superposition, essentially, if those who don't know, it means that at the same time, there might be many versions, at
Versions,
least
yeah.
I uh, of the same particle in different states existing simultaneously. So that's the concept of parallel realities and things like that. So let's say
And
usually
quantum
the
entanglement, I think that's another word they use, quantum entanglement.
quantum entanglement is just meaning like, you and
Connection.
I doing
Yeah,
connection. We all really, there's no time and space between
yeah,
us. Like you and I on Zoom, you are in Thailand, I'm here or wherever. And then, but we're still able to do the type of healing work because really this time and space is an illusion. We all exist in the
yeah,
same hologram. The quantum superposition, why is it important? Because the timelines that we build in and create in real time together. So imagine there is like the way I like to give a metaphor for it, there's like we go into a concert, right? Or a ballet, and all of us are watching these ballerinas and they are spinning. It's the same particle, the same version of it, but they're spinning a little differently. But there's one ballerina that we all like, and that's the ballerina we want for her, so to speak, to win. So all of us paying attention to that ballerina, and we all our intention is for her to win. So
yeah,
what's happening on the quantum level, that ballerina, because it's ocean of information, and then that ballerina starts gaining momentum, and her wave, it's called standing wave, is gaining momentum, gaining momentum, gaining momentum, because more and more of us giving her not fuel, but kind of like a fuel, a her quantum superposition is strengthening, and at some point it hits a threshold where all other ballerinas kind of fall away, and she's the one that wins. So this is what's happening. I write about in my book how to do that. This is what happens all the time when we make decisions, when we, for instance, want certain thing to be
yeah.
manifested and created.
It's
So
also synchronicity, like some people call synchronicity as well, right?
synchronicity, that means that is more, synchronicity is more like a confirmation of us being in the right flow of information and following things. I'm
Yeah,
talking about
validation by the universe. Yeah.
validation. I'm talking more about being in creation, being conscious creator,
Or
where
in the flow state, like
we
this.
decide we decide exactly when we decide what we want. So back to bifurcation. If all of us are paying attention and want a reality of love and light, this beautiful paradise reality on earth, and we all moving towards what I call organic timeline. I think Dolores calls it organic timeline as well. The organic timeline is a beautiful timeline. It's a golden age, but it's not transhumanistic timeline. Transhumanistic timeline is when the AI takes over. Transhumanistic timeline is Terminator. It's all of those movies that we watched where the machine takes over, right? And the human
Yeah.
becomes the victim. Organic timeline is for me more like the Andromedan way where AI is still present, but it's organic in a way that it interacts with that. It helps us with our conscious creation. It's more of a friend and it learns from us because we are also evolving into higher state. The problem with Terminator, the problem with iRobot and all these movies is because the machine, why is the machine acting out? Why is the machine going against the human? Because the machine is being created from low state of consciousness. If it's getting created from a place of let's create a machine that's going to be killing kids and doing all the harm on earth from that consciousness, so that machine is for that. But if we're creating a machine, an AI, that is all about co-creation and love and unity, and it's part of that, higher frequency, it's a different type of AI. So the bifurcation I think that Dolores talks about is, so we're on the train station and we still in recruitment phase. We're selling tickets and we're like, guys, get on our train. Our train is the organic train. But there will be bunch that don't want organic train. They don't want to be in love and light. They want to still that 3D way, so to speak,
Yeah,
that pushing.
because there was somebody. A lot of people talk about this, but this thing called this addiction to suffering itself. Like some people get addicted to going through the pain. Like what do they call it when? the people become dependent on the person who's abusing them. There's a term for it. Uh,
Yeah, you mean like a victim victimizer, like the predator,
yeah. Like sabotage, like self-sabotage. We start.
sabotaging and gaslighting, narcissism, the classical narcissist
Yeah,
versus
and then it's, I
it's
mean,
happening a lot now. Yeah.
yeah, in a simple way, it's called codependency is probably the simplest way to say, right? Like even if the,
Versus, what's the opposite of codependency? Sovereignty. So, as when I talk about being master quantum creator, I talk about being a sovereign being, right? Full
yeah,
sovereignty. So that distortion, back to like false prophet. How do you know someone's false prophet or not? If anyone is trying to impose on your sovereignty, you know this is a false prophet, because
yeah,
someone who's on the pure light is all about you becoming the strongest, most empowered sovereign being on earth, being the walking gods and goddesses. So, but if anyone's trying to manipulate you, push your boundaries, do narcissistic gaslighting things, that sets off alarms and red flags for me right away, because that means that person is operating from that low frequency, from the ego state, not from sovereignty. So sovereignty is super important, and we can declare sovereignty in our energetic field. We can
yeah. Y- There's a
back
new
to
one. Yeah,
light language.
there's a,
I want to talk about light language, because
yeah, you sure.
it is important for channeling. To be a pure channel, you can, some people allow, like, to be a medium, allow entities to come through their field. And so, and meaning entities that possess them.
Yeah,
For me, why I would never allow that. That's not
like
sovereign.
parasites, kind of parasitical.
Yeah, I believe sovereign way, the light language, source language way, is to open your channel in a sovereign, pure way with the highest intention. I am a conduit of love and light, and anything that's not of that light cannot use my channel, or I don't want to bring that energy
Yeah, can
as
get the
reality.
my
Sovereign.
affirmation is what is not serving me is can get the fuck out of here. You can-
I love that too. Exactly. Yeah. So it's like, working with source overflow, saying holy fuck yes to, what feels right, and holy fuck no to what is not of your
Yeah, we
field,
need to come up
not of
with
your sovereignty.
new
Yeah.
affirmations. It would be a nice, maybe I should work a new version of affirmations with those unholy words instead of
I mean, you know, my friend came up with the holy fuck yes. And initially I was like, oh, I don't know the word fuck. But you know what? There's something beautiful. We integrate in words, right? Back to the words and the meaning and what they
yeah.
are for us. And if it's holy in some ways. And yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
it's like, I mean, it's like
Muting
even
the
this.
fuck into something more positive.
Yeah, it's like this symbol as well. This is used for heavy metal music, but it's also used for satanical. So I think it depends on the interpretation. There's no good or bad. Like, morality and all these things are made up by human being. But for a long time, like I love this because Ozzy Osbourne and all these people, my favorite. I love heavy metal, like a lot of us, we do this, but I didn't even know that they use it for demonic things as well. But I don't care. I mean, what? Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, everything is in balance, right? So we have to find that balance in integration between darkness and the light and polarization. And ultimately, the name of the game here on Earth and these experiences and why we sign up on the soul level to be here and do this, why? Is to do that, is to integrate the cosmic saga, the Star Wars, the all of it, and we try and again here as basically mirrors of all of that to come out on the other side and integrate. But actually, you and I were talking about Pleiadians. Pleiadian beings became Pleiadian now in this high frequency dimensionality. But actually, when the Lyre and Star Wars happened, and they made it all the way to the star system of Pleiades, which is really far away. If you look in the sky, it's a distance. So it took a whole generation. They didn't have warp technology. It took a generation of them to come. They initially decided they don't want to remember the war and atrocity that happened in Lyra, where 50 million Lyrans were slaughtered by the Dracos. They wanted to, like, let's just wear pink glasses and just be in love and light. The problem with that is actually in that civilization was that at some point that dirt, that ancestral trauma started coming up. And there were some dark factions that there are such things as rogue Pleiadians. No one talks about them. Everyone thinks that, oh,
Oh
Pleiadians,
yeah, every race I've heard, every race has
every race
good and
has
bad, good
rogue
and bad.
and good
Yeah,
and bad. And then eventually, when they were able to like admit and acknowledge the pain and integrate it, were they able to move forward in consciousness? And that's what we do. And we have to acknowledge the pain. We have to acknowledge the fact all of this is happening, and realize there is darkness,
yeah,
there's
acceptance. Yeah, I think
acceptance.
that's what even they say about like even if you want to get rid of trauma or any kind of thing, depression, anything, or even addiction, for example, first step is the acceptance, right? So we have to accept that it's a problem, or we have to transcend it. If we have to transcend it, we have to accept it, and then we have to go through the grief and whatever. There's steps like in the 12-step program in alcoholism they have, right? We have to go through that, but I mean, we are living in a world where instant food and instant coffee. So I think some people, I mean, all of us have become used to fast results, and maybe we have to slow down, and then maybe this is a good way also to end this podcast because we covered a lot of different topics, and it's time to slow down. And yeah, and I'll let you give your information before we wrap up. Where can people find you?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. And the slowing down is super important. It's coming to that place of stillness. I call it alternative medicine. And sometimes the body actually forces us to slow down. And that's when we experience disease. And what is disease? It's lack of ease. And I too remember I moved to New York City and I was living by Times Square and it was so fast. I was running around and then, my body just kind of caved in. I had sciatica in my leg and I had to slower pace now, walk through the city and take my time and look around. And that's when I started really going inward. And when as you start going inward, that's when you start finding peace within. So the outside is going to be always noisy. And if you're looking for external validation, that will never suffice you. So really where you start finding peace is within yourself and acceptance of yourself. So just wanted to wrap that up. Yeah, so thank you so much. So you can connect with me on dianadivine.com or spell as dianadivine.com. I have my book, Mastering Quantum Creation. It's actually out on Amazon as well. I don't know if you can see it. And then I also have an oracle deck. And actually, before we wrap up, I would like to open one card for our audience. We have maybe a few minutes of kind of wrapping up what's happening with everything that's
Yeah.
happening in the world. What's our
Yeah,
grand?
let's see what the universe has in store for us.
Oh, I love it. Let's see. Ma'at. Second.
Oh, the
Ma'at.
heart, it shows the heart. It's breaking on and off, but I see a heart.
Heart, and you see the balance, the scales.
Oh, yin and yang kind of a thing.
Yeah, so Ma'at, for those who don't know, it comes from the Egyptian, ancient Atlantean
Goddess,
order. Ma'at. There's the principles of Ma'at, of how Atlanteans lived by, and it's all about balance. And
nature.
actually, the heart, when the person would die, was always weighted against the feather. So if you look into all the hieroglyphics and afterlife, if the person's heart was heavier than the feather, then they would go, so to speak, into hell, or they wouldn't pass to the next, afterlife journey. So the cosmic law of one, the principle of divine balance, governs all things. Align your thoughts, words, and actions with divine order to restore harmony.
Oh, yeah,
So
that's beautiful. Yeah.
and let me just kind of just add light language with that so you can feel into ma'at. Urtiashta kuania tushtumbahia tushumahiana. Uatikia stumbua kiamua faya shuhu tushia. Inda suhu aya nunaya nushia ki umutushua. Ikua ni akarushu ai asu maku ana Ishta Uai Anatu Moaya. So just reminder that you are quantum master creator, and as you create them from the cosmic law one of balance and harmony, always know you are also helping to create this beautiful new earth, new blueprint for where we're headed into the future.
Yeah, I'm speechless. I don't have any words. I think, yeah, as I'm getting into this state of trance. I mean, yeah, thanks, Deanna. And your website is deannadivine.com, and my website is radicalpurposecoaching.com. I do one-on-one coaching and also group trainings for life purpose. People who want to know about life purpose or want to live their life purpose. I use NLP, neuro linguistic programming, meditation, a lot of different things. I'm still learning the light language. So everything is on my website. I also offer a 45-minute free session, and I have these podcasts with beautiful, amazing people like Deanna. And
Yeah, and yeah, please come to my podcast too. My podcast called Soul Communication, and you can also find it on YouTube. Deanna M Divine. Deanna M as in Mary Divine is my channel and my Instagram. And I love how Lokesh you share in your light. I share the light, and we're here for all of you to connect and be supported through our various sessions that we
yeah,
offer.
yeah. Definitely, yeah. And if you like this, I'm not very good at the final messages, but like, subscribe, share. I find it funny to say, but like, it's just part of the job. Like, if you like this, yeah, please share it with people and come back. We're gonna have more. And I'm also working on an online course actually related to the quantum stuff that we were talking about. So if anybody wants to know more about that, radicalpurposecoaching.com. And anyway, thanks, Deanna. Thanks again for joining, and I hope maybe we can do this again sometime.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me.
All right, take care. Have a nice day, everyone. Bye bye.